Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football late Monday night. Billy Napier, the Florida Gators get it done for what I believe to be the last remaining prospect in the 2025 cycle. Four-star cornerback Javari Flowers committing to the Florida Gators. I think you got to start with just a wild last couple of months it has been for this kid, where he's a former top 50 national prospect in the 2026 cycle, reclassifies extremely late to 2025, takes his visits in the spring, and was largely considered a Miami Hurricane lean for the bulk of his recruitment. Billy Napier and the Florida Gators coming in late, getting it done. As far as this prospect goes, this kid, in my opinion, was born to play that nickel corner spot. And I think he's going to be great at it over the next couple of years. And this has become a position that is becoming so vital in the landscape of college football. Like, gone are the days where defenses are playing with three linebackers. They're going to five defensive backs, routinely playing with that nickel corner on the football field. And it's hard to find nickels that can satisfy all the things they need to do on the football field. When you're essentially replacing a third linebacker with a fifth defensive back to deal with, all the speed and kind of the uptick in the passing attacks that we've seen in college football. One, yeah, you have to be able to hold up in coverage, which Javari Flowers certainly can do. But I think what I love about his game the most, he ain't the biggest cat in the room, but he is not afraid to stick his nose in the run game and get involved. And if you are going to play nickel, especially in the SEC, you have to be able to support the run. I think Javari Flowers certainly can do that. Now, when you talk Javari Flowers, I think the thing that jumps out to the page the most is a 10-4 in the 100-meter dash. I mean, this is one of the fastest prospects in the 2025 cycle. You clearly see the speed on the film as well. What I love the most is the short area quicks. Yeah, he can run with just about he can run with flat out anybody in the college football landscape. When you're playing nickel, the short area quicks, being able to mirror some of those slot wide receivers, that's a premium. You need to be able to do that. He has elite short area quicks. He's physical at the point of attack, not afraid to fire downhill, get involved in the run game, closes on ball carriers, closes on throwing windows exceptionally well, extremely juiced up, explosive kid. To me, you go down all the attributes that you want from a nickel corner. Javari Flowers checking all those boxes. And I can't stress enough how important it is to find nickels that can check all the boxes. They ain't that many. Really excited to see what he brings to Florida as he comes into the summer. And I'll say this, I wonder if he can kind of throw his hat into the ring to get involved early for this Florida team. And it's not a shot at guys like Aaron Gates, Sharif Denson. Y'all know I'm a big fan of those two. But with all the injuries that, Florida's working through in spring practice, specifically in the secondary, Javari Flowers getting on campus in the summer. And I'm kind of excited to hear what the buzz is around Javari Flowers, who I think is more than capable of kind of stepping on a football field and providing value early in his college football career, and at the very least, being involved in special teams. This kid has a ton of juice as a kick and punt returner. We're going to see that on the film. Before we get into Javari Flowers, just want to say thank you to you guys and to the Florida fans. I know there's some other things around this Florida program or Florida sporting that there's a lot to be excited about. Final Four. Shout out. Congratulations to you guys. The amount of support the Florida fans have continued to show to the boys as we've talked spring practice, talked the recruiting trail, been amazing. Appreciate you guys. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Without further ado, let's get into Javari Flowers. Now, before we get into the film, I do want to give a shout out to Darren Wilson. Kind of a hire that Florida made in the offseason. It sounded like Darren Wilson kind of took on this recruitment and got it done. There were some things that maybe were pushing against Florida landing Javari Flowers, most notably Will Harris leaving Florida, going to Miami. Darren Wilson coming in quickly, building a relationship, getting this one done. That's a good sign if you're a Florida fan. Now, I know NIL played a strong role in this one too, and I'll say this. I think that just shows Florida loves this kid. Florida wouldn't be shelling it out for an early or a reclassified kid in 2025 if they didn't think he could play. So I think that's almost encouraging if you're a Florida fan saying, hey, at Florida, they did their due diligence on this kid and said, hey, we think he can provide some value early to our football program. Getting into the film, this kid's really fun to watch because he brings so many different things to the table. You're going to see him get really involved in special teams, but you're also going to see him run vertically down the field. Again, ain't nobody running by Javari Flowers. Look at this. I mean, this is where especially shorter cornerbacks, they struggle so much with the ball skills. Javari Flowers running down the field with this wide receiver, no panic in his game, getting his head around, go up and high point the football, big dog. I mean, that to me, especially if you're going to be a shorter defensive back, you got to be able to play the football. And Javari Flowers certainly can. Now you see the 10-4 speed. I mean, he is straight up running by people, will provide value at some point during his career in the return game, as you see. Now, we might fast forward through some of the special team stuff because there's some defensive back stuff I want to talk about more, but you do get a sense of just the juice that this kid has in terms of movement skills. And I promise you, even this type of stuff where even if he doesn't play special teams early, this type of movement skill, it's going to translate to playing in the defensive backfield very, very quickly. Now you're getting into a little bit of the instincts in short area quicks. He's a guy that's sitting back, zone coverage, reading the quarterback's eyes, jumping routes, going the other way with it. A guy that it really quickly can close in on throwing windows and create game-changing plays going the other way. And a lot of times when he has the football in his hands, he's bringing it to the house. We're going to fast forward through some of the special team stuff, not because he ain't good at it. I just want to highlight some other stuff that Javari Flowers brings to the table, most notably coming downhill, getting involved in the run game. He ain't the biggest, although I will say he's just a little bit shorter, but he's pretty compact. He's pretty thick, especially kind of in the upper body, and he's not afraid to fire downhill and be physical at the point of attack. This is important when you're playing that nickel corner spot. Once again, getting involved in the special teams, he's got some crazy juice. You're going to see this all over his junior year stuff, essentially his senior year stuff. He's a difference maker with the football in his hands. And I love my defensive backs to have playmaking ability. Whether it's as a defensive back, whether it's in special teams, this stuff matters. All right, here you go, a little fake punt action coming downhill. Look how fast we're closing the gap here, and we are gonna be physical about it. Like you want your nickel cornerbacks to bring that stuff to the table routinely, returning kicks and punts. Firing downhill, closing the gap. Again, look how quickly the space between the catcher and the defensive back here closes. So this is what you want to see, especially from your defensive backs. Really like his game. And you look at Florida in 2025, it's so crazy because, 6 months ago, Florida was sitting outside the top 50 in the 2025 cycle. And all of a sudden, they're signing a bona fide top 10 class in the country. You look at some of the late additions here, a guy like Dallas Wilson, a guy like Onis Conan-Benny. I'll say this, I'm a massive fan of the secondary class Florida's bringing in. You look at the cornerbacks, Ben Hanks, dude. Onis Conan-Benny, developmental prospect that has a lot of physical juice to him. Now you bring in Javari Flowers, who I think factors in as a nickel corner. You go to the safeties, guys like Drake Stubbs, guys like Lagonza Hayward, guys we're already hearing good things about. Florida hit in this 2025 class. I think that's another thing worth mentioning. We can kind of talk about this hindsight. Vernell Brown, Dallas Wilson already generating buzz. Jaden Woods generating buzz early. There are a lot of guys in this class that have already started to build. So Nashawn Montgomery, guy that you guys think I'm sleeping on, Stephon Shivers. Well, I might be sleeping on too. There's a lot of freshmen who looked the part early for Florida in this 2025 cycle. Excited to see what these young cats can do over the next couple of weeks and months and really years for Florida. We'll close it out there. Appreciate you guys rocking with it again. Truly been a blast talking this program, talking the recruiting trail. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.